This week, after we did our origami, I also did some fun little things where I just did some loose paintings, and I want to show you what I did, what I used for the text, and now I'm using it to make lines, and I'm going to show you that today. I am using a glass pen. If you've never used one, I always used it for ink, and just writing and stuff, and I never really thought about using it for watercolor. But wow, it is amazing for watercolor. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to show it to you because you might want to give yourself one. Gift yourself one for Christmas because these are not expensive. I think it was $8 on Amazon. This one in the best brand. Well, they call it Moleskine, but it's a handmade glass pen. It comes in a box like that, so you have it. It's stored. And I even ordered another one because I think they're really beautiful. And I didn't realize how useful they're going to be in watercolor. So I'll show you this today. So what you'll need is your watercolors. I have some rocks. I'll keep that rock there so you can see it. There. Really, maybe I should move this. Let me move my camera a little bit so you can see a little bit better even. Okay, so rocks. If you have I've got we're gonna basically, we'll use this one because it's a little bit bigger and it's brown and it's nice. Get your favorite watercolors, whatever you've got. I've got my little Daniel Smith watercolors, and also I'm just going to use a piece of watercolor paper. I don't remember. I think this is the B watercolor paper, 6x8. I'm going to go ahead. Maybe I'll have to put my rock over here so you can. Yeah. So that's our rock that we're going to use, and I'm going to go ahead and mask it down. I think it's a really nice masking tape. It's black. I probably shouldn't be using black, but because it might kind of mess me up on my color contrast stuff. But I'm not going to worry. I'm just going to do it because it was what I had handy, and I'm just going to put it up there. So I'm going to mask my paper down, and this is cold press watercolor paper. So whatever you've got will be perfect. And there. So we want a vertical orientation anyway, either way. So I've got my little thing laid out. I've got a palette. I've got some of my favorite brushes. And what I'm going to use to make the lines, I'm going to use, this is the lid of a spray bottle. You know those little spray bottles? It's a little plastic lid. And I'm going to put some watercolor in there for my glass pen. So instead of buying a special dish for it, you just can use just something something small that you can put your color in. And we're going to first start by painting our rock. So here is the rock. And what we want to do is take a pencil, which I forgot to bring out of my stash here. So I'm going to get my pencil, and I've got I'm going to make a very light line or light drawing of this, kind of for more of a side view rather than a bird's eye view. I'm going to just take it, and you really don't have to have a picture to look at because rocks are very, they're just kind of there. They're all different shapes and sizes, and I'm just kind of creating a little design. It looks like a, rotten potato or whatever it is, and I'm just kind of looking at where the shadows might be. Here I see some shadows here, so I'm making a very faint line. So that's my rock. And here's the ground. I have a ground to sit it on, maybe just a little horizontal place for that. So just kind of make a round, an odd shape, jaggedy, or you can make it a smoother rock. Whatever you want to do, you can make a beach rock, make it kind of oval. Just kind of draw an odd shape, and you could make it more high. Like this one is a little bit low, but that's okay. I wanted to have room to do my leaves, so that's kind of why I'm making it on the flatter side. So what we're going to do is paint our rock first. So I've got the little sketch. So just do a little odd sketch. And I'm going to go ahead and use these colors as a guide, these kind of browns. You can use grays, browns, anything like that. And I'm going to find, I've got some transparent umber here. I think I'll use that. I'll put it in my little, that's a transparent umber. It's a beautiful reddish brown. Just going to stick it in my palette. And then I'm going to use a Payne's gray. I think that's a Payne's gray. I hope so. Yep, that's a Payne's gray. So that's going to be nice for the rock. And then I've got some other browns. So for a rock, you want to just try the neutral colors. Here's another, I don't know what that color is, but it's pretty. So, and here's a little Quin Gold just to brighten things up. So I've got some browns, and I'm just going to use this for creating this rock. I could also add some purples and like a moon glow, but I'll wait for a minute. But the moon glow, here, I'll put that, I'll stick some moon glow in there. I think this might be moon glow. I can check. Nope. What is that? That may be moon glow. It just had a bunch of brown in it. Let's see. That's moon glow, but it just had a lot of the brown in it. So moon glow is kind of a purpley shadow color. There we are. So now I've got those neutral colors, and I'm just going to start with a light, kind of a light wash all over the thing, and the lightest color that I want it to be. So I'm going to just go with a light, kind of a light wash all the way out to the shape of the rock. And really, it's just a loose. You don't have to be perfect. We're just kind of making rocks are imperfect. You know, they're jagged. They've got texture. They've got all kinds of interesting. I'm going to put a little color too. And so just think about light coming from the top, sunlight or, you know, diffused light coming from the top, and just lay down one wash of color. Not kind of a light wash. We don't want to go too dark. Like this. So that kind of looks like a potato right now. But it will look, I'll try to make it look like a rock. We'll see how it works. But here, got my first layer of color. And I kept it light up at the top on purpose, and I kind of kept it darker down at the bottom, because I'm going to start what I'm going to do is the next layer. Now I don't want it to dry completely, but if it dries a little bit, that's fine. I see where the shadows are. I see like this right over on this top part. I see a place where I can make a shadow down here and over here. There's like a shadow. So I'm just gonna make kind of just at the bottom part of the rock, start creating the shadows. And I can make them jagged. I can make them angled. But we want to give that rock some weight. And however we do that, we just add shadow, darker at the bottom and more at the top, more light. So just here, I'm just kind of kind of looking at the rock I have, but at the same time, I'm just kind of making it up too. So that's the second layer, and it's still wet so that it kind of blends beautifully. So you can also, one thing you could do too, because rocks are not perfectly, it's like this one has spots on it. So if I do a little tapping, I'm going to try this. I never seem to succeed at making spatters without making a huge mess, but I'm going to try to block off. I want to spatter this, but I don't want to spatter it all over my paint, all over the white part here. So I'm just going to kind of block it off with a little tissue just to, you know, maybe I can control some of that. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm just making some spots, tapping some spots. And if I can grab a little more of that reddish brown color, I think that'd be pretty. Or I can even get an orange color, because I do see some orangey colors in here. I'm just going to make some spots in my rock, a little texture, trying to direct it only in the area of where the rock is, not on the other parts. We'll see. Yep, there we go. So I'm getting the textures that I want. Yay. And I haven't spattered it on the other part, but there it is. So I got a little bit down below, but that's okay. So now I've got that layer. Now I can this is pretty wet here. I've got a lot of moisture there. So what I might do, since it's so puddly and it's going to take forever for that to dry, I'm going to go ahead and just siphon it up a little bit with my brush. And that means what I'm doing is I'm wiping off the excess moisture, and I'm letting the brush drink up that excess color or water, because it's just too much. So you can always do that. Control that by lifting, just taking off, just pulling up some of that water and then watch that brush soak it right up. And it's doing that really perfectly. But it's also taking away some of my concentrated color, but that's all right. I'll just go back to it. And now I see that I can probably add some more shadow, but I just want to lift some of that puddling off. Yeah, there, got it. Now I'm going to do another layer of color just to darken this. And I'm going to go, I might even add some moon glow or something darker, or I can add a little purple. There's some interesting colors here. Who knows what I've got? I'm not even looking at my palette. Sometimes it's hard to see what these colors are because they're so dark and transparent. So now I'm going to just drop some of these dark colors right at the bottom, dropping it in. I'm not even brushing it because there's so much liquid down there anyway. So, and I may just drop some colors just to make some spots here. This part's still, now that's pretty purple. So maybe I should neutralize this a little bit more. Put a little yellow. That's pretty purple. So I'm going to try not to have too much purple in this. I was hoping to maybe I could do, I'm not sure about the ground, what I'm going to do with the ground yet, but just dropping color in and making it sort of spotty and jaggedy. And let's see, more gray maybe if I mix. I'm not going to use any greens here at this point because I want to save the greens and those other tones for the leaves in the plant growing out. So here I'll just add a little more. This is a Payne's gray. It's a darker color just to give it some drama down at the bottom, the darkest areas. Yeah, really dark right there, which is kind of nice. So I've got my little rock going. Now this is pretty light up there, which is, I like that. I think that's fine. So you can see how you can just decide. You can also, if it dries or when it dries, I'm just going to get more dramatic right there. So there's my rock. It's probably a little dark on this, but you know, watercolor does lighten. And I could, if I think it's too dark, I can lift color out, which I'm just going to try right in here. Just kind of using my brush to siphon up some of that color. And then I could just use my brush just to make those little spots around the rock. Now this is already dry up here, so what I could do is do just a clear water only and take my brush and totally get it clean and just take a little wash of color, water right at the top, which kind of blends, it'll blend it together a little bit better, like that. I'm just gonna make it there, like that. And now I can just keep adding some little splotches and things like that. Here we go, the little tiny drops of, this is a more controlled way rather than spattering, just dropping it, tapping the brush with some color just to make those spots that you're looking for. So that's pretty dark in this spot here, but it's all right. We'll let that sit for a minute. This is probably where I should have my heat gun out, which I don't. I think I better grab that. And the heat gun that I prefer to use for watercolor, of course, I think if you haven't seen me use this before, it is the Heat It tool. It doesn't have that, doesn't blow things away like other ones do. I'll keep that rock showing. So let me just plug that in, and then I'll just start drying my little watercolor. I have to plug it in on the other side of my table. 80 seconds. There we are. Okay. So now I'm just gonna, this may be almost, it looks black to me. So I was meant it to be dramatic, but maybe not that dramatic. But I'm just gonna go ahead and dry it and see what happens. So I'm just gonna take my little rock shape thing. You can add lines and things too with a liner brush afterwards if you want, just to see how it looks. Now I see this is really dark, but there's ways to lift color if you want to lift color, and I don't mind. I think from a distance it'll look really nice and dramatic, so I'll just leave it alone. I can also add light with light colors if I want. I'll leave it. Doesn't look anything like the rock on the table, but it doesn't matter. Still looks like a rock. So I got that as dry as it's going to get for now. Very dark down below, maybe too dark, but let's see what happens if we want to lift color. Like if I just want to lift color and not have any, just to have some spots and things and see what happens. I'm going to use a plane, some water, and I'm just going to pick up, I'm just going to kind of make some spots here with my brush with just water only. See what happens. I may get some nice lifting. We'll see. Maybe not. We'll see. I'm going to take my tissue and blot it, and I am able to get some lifting. See, some of the spots that I dabbed with water are coming up, which kind of makes it fun. So now my rock is looking more textured and kind of like what I was looking for. I'm just lifting color out by creating texture. There's other ways to do it, but this is just one way. I'm just going to wait for that water to just sort of soak into that and then dab up the color. And I'm able to see it. I don't know if you can see it, but I can see it on my end here. And I'm enjoying that lifting and texturizing of the rock. I can do that in other areas too. And I can create more like little cracks. So if you can take your brush with a little light, with a very fine tip and just create little cracks in the rock. Just now I'm actually looking at the rock that I have, just kind of giving it more life, like it's like the rock that it is. With just little tiny sort of cracks in the surface. And that kind of helps it. Now that's it. That's the rock. Now I need a ground for it to be on. So it can be in sand. It can be in, I think I want a natural ground, and it's just going to be basically the same color but much lighter. Maybe the Quin Gold might be really nice. Just a nice light color for the base, right under the rock. This is quinacridone gold, and I'll mix it with a little bit of that brown, just a neutral color, almost the same as the rock color, actually, pretty close. And I'm putting that underneath the rock, and then underneath where the rock sits to give it a shadow, I'm going to put some of the Moon Glow, or if you have violet and you want to mix it with your browns, that will give you a nice shadow color. The violet will look great, right, if you mix it with the brown. So I'm just going to do it right where the light's going to kind of right underneath the rock. While it's still wet, I'm creating a shadow right there. So that's the shadow under the rock. And I could add more later. I think that's good enough for now, and it's kind of blending nicely. I could add a touch of blue, but just a tiny touch, just to pop it in here. This is just a little bit of blue that's going to mix with the brown just to cool that down a little bit. Yeah, like that. So let that be. It's done. So next step is we're going to make our leaves. Now, normally, I thought I would follow her, the author, Katery. I thought I would follow her technique, which is normally I would just start with making a branch coming out. But she starts with leaves first. And then after the leaves are done, she creates the branch, which I've never done before. So I think it'd be fun to try. And so I'm going to create some leaves. And now I need to mix up my leaf colors. And I could still use some browns I'll still use some of these browns for the branches and stuff. But I need to make some greens as well. So I'm going to grab maybe some yellow green, make some like neutral yellow greens, trying to keep it. I don't think I want to add a lot of blues to these this time because this is kind of a neutral place here. So I'll have some yellow green and maybe some, what would be pretty? Some yellow ochre would be pretty if I have it. I don't even know if I have. I have a transparent gold here. This is a transparent, I'll keep that rock there for you. Transparent kind of a green gold, and then there's a yellow, and the Quin Gold is right there. Okay, so that's what I was looking for. Quinacridone gold, which is one of my favorite colors lately. So now I've got a little green with some quinacridone gold, and I'm going to do a couple of, maybe my first leaf, and I'm going to make a little leaf, maybe I think I want to start it right up here. So just a cute little, like a small leaf, and I'm going to start by putting my brush, the tip of it, and then I'm going to press and then lift. There we go. Just one little stroke makes your leaf, and then you can fill it in with the tip of your brush like that. And then you can add some color to it or make it darker, just by, dropping color in the ends. I'm just going to keep that simple for now, like that. The next one, I'm going to bring that same mixture of colors, and I'm going to do another leaf, but I'm going to do it kind of at 2 o'clock. Let's say 2 o'clock, or let's do it 10 o'clock. When I say 10 o'clock, I mean kind of having it come out. So I'm going to bring my brush. I'm just going to do a little same thing. Take the tip of my brush and then press down and then lift it up. And then I've got a little leaf shape, and I could fill it in and, like that. Now that one's a lot bigger than the other one, but I still like it. So I'll go ahead and do it. And just create 3 leaves, kind of like where you don't know where the branch is yet. So it's kind of an interesting thing to do it this way. I've never done it this way. It's kind of way out of my comfort zone, but it's going to be fun. So now we are going to continue making leaves, even though we have no branch. And this is where we're just going to just create that beautiful shape and then not worry about where the branches are yet. We could make, let's do this. Let's bring these leaves, and when leaves grow, we could make them kind of different shaped. We can make them a little bit larger, like that. Just just start making leaves like we've done this before. Press down, lift up, and then fill it in. It depends on the brush you have, how the leaf's going to be shaped anyway. The brushes will are such a determination of your shapes, so you can play with your brush and see what happens. Just see how the leaf is made. If you don't like the leaf shape or the way your brush is working, you just try a different brush and see what it does, because it's really playing with the shapes. So we're going to do, I think, want to make my leaves get larger as they go down, and so I'm going to have a pretty small brush here. I'm going to just take a bigger one. This is a 0, and now I'm going to take a 2, and I'm going to make just by the nature of the size of the brush, it's going to be bigger. The leaf will be bigger. So I'll just go ahead and do the same, pick up some color. This one had some brown in it still. I'm going to try to fix that, get a little better color there. So this is going to be much bigger just by the nature of the shape of it. So I'm going to, and it's okay to rotate your paper. You want, just so you can get that shape that you're looking for, by taking the small tip of it and then pressing down and then bringing it up, and then you've got your leaf shape. This one, I like the way this one kind of came out, so don't need to really shape it much more than that. I'm going to add some more color, because I just love putting different colors at the base of the leaf and at the end, just kind of, and letting those colors join up with the leaf, with the center. There we go. That one, the tip is, there, I've got some fuzzies on the end of that. I'm just trying to mold that tip a little better, because it's just not, the tip didn't come out the way I liked it. So there, we got somebody coming in. All right. So we have this leaf here. So you can see this is substantially bigger than the other ones. Welcome, Edith. Glad you're here. We've got started on we did a rock, and now we're doing the leaves in our watercolor. So just kind of, and then you can vary the shape, like maybe make it kind of drop down like this. Just kind of play, make some fun leaves, and we'll connect them later. So this being the first time, I have never done this before, so it will be interesting to see what happens. And you can add some of the browns if you want in that leaf, if you wanted to, just to kind of keep that neutral palette going. I'm just taking the colors and I'm just blending them while it's still wet. And I'm going to do some more leaves. And I'm going to connect them later. This is an exercise in trust, I guess, knowing that it should work out, right? So can even make smaller leaves. I can make another branch or decide. I'm just going to try this. Ooh, now this brush, I like making smaller leaves. Oh boy, she's coming in twice. I don't know what's happening there. Oh. All right. I don't know how that's happening. Okay, so now I'm just going to start another little branch. And I'm going to kind of go off the page a little bit. Actually, I didn't go off the page, but I could have. And this is actually a fun thing because I didn't think I would be able to make small leaves with this big fat brush, but I actually like them better. So really just playing with your brushes and trying different things. Leaves, of course, just creating those shapes. Let's see, I'm going to go press and go up and then let them overlap. Press and just let it go off the page if you need. And this is this is fun. We'll see. And now I see how I'm going to have to connect them, but I'm going to try. There we go. Just lay the brush down and see what happens with the leaf. And then you can add color afterwards. You know, more color. You can drop color in while it's still wet to give the dimension of the leaf. But you can also go over it again with another glaze of color later. So just to get the basic shape of the leaf right now is a good idea. This was very dry, so it's not really blending, but it's all right. The more organic it is, the better it's going to look anyway. So that one I'm just going to cover completely because it dried. It was a completely dry wash. There, I think I've got enough leaves, but you know, I could always go more. So right now I have 7 leaves on this one and I have 7 leaves on that. Interesting count of number. I'm going to add some more of that brown in some spots just to bring that brown that was on the rock, kind of tie that together. So I'm going to just do it in a couple of little places where I see that it's still wet. And that's good right there. So now is the time to connect. So you could use a brush to make your stem. I'm going to try using my glass pen, but you can also, if you have like a liner brush, something to make your stems, because I've never done the glass pen before, but I wanted to share with you how much fun it is to draw with this. So I'm going to take my little thing here, this little cap. I'm going to put the color that I have. I have a bunch of color in here. I'm going to just take all that brown and all these colors that are in this tray, and I might even mix up some of that green that I had. And I'm going to make an ink out of watercolor, basically. So I'm going to grab some green, put that in. And I'm just going to do that, a nice little kind of a neutral color, stem color. And I need to have enough, I need to fill it enough so that, and get it dark enough so that I can fill the glass pen. There's some purline maroon. And then I'll see how it looks. I have no idea how this is going to look, but it's fun to try new things. Okay. I've never done this kind of drawing. I've done the veins and stuff like that, but I've never done it with, we'll see. So what you do with the glass pen, and this isn't a very dark color, you should probably try it on something else, like a piece of scrap paper. Let's see, I'm going to grab a piece of scrap paper here that I've been drawing with already. And try the lines before you do it. Let's just see, what the heck. Let's see, I'm going to try to draw something like right here. So yes, I can draw with it. It's probably not a dark enough color, but I'm able to get really fine, a very fine line. It just needs to be darker than that. So it's not a dense enough color. So I'll keep filling this with some color, which I need to grab. Let's see, what color can I put in there? Maybe that really dark green or some Payne's gray, something to get it darker. Some of that brown. Hoping I've added enough color. That's the thing, you've just got to make it dark enough to be able to see the line that you're working on. So I'm going to try the glass pen just on this stem here. So I'm going to start with the leaf that's right at the top, and I'm going to draw a line, and it looks like I can do it. And I'm kind of making a nice little wonky line, which I think is nice. It's a very thin line, but at least the pen's giving me more control than if I just used a brush. I'm just going to go right here. There we go. There. Now I see a place here where I need to add a leaf because I smeared my hand. I got some green there. But see how nice and fine that line is? I mean, it's really super fine. Now that I've created the lines, I'm going to save that for my branches because I think those will be, the glass pen will be handy for that. But right now I'm just going to reinforce the line color. I'm just going to dip my brush in the line and maybe use some green also. Dip it in some green. And I'm just going to create a little thicker line because I think that was just a little too thin. But it's going to be great because it kind of helped me draw the line, and now I can see, I was able to draw and have more control with the pen than I did with a brush. Always, the pen gives you can, it's easier to handle because it's got a solid end rather than the soft end. So now I've thickened the lines. And I do see I need to make a leaf right there. I see what I did. That I actually dipped my brush, or I dipped my hand into into the paint there. So here, I'm just going to make a leaf that was supposed to happen. Here we go. Right there is where I see that it needed to happen. Right there, like that. That means I need to do another one probably somewhere, but I'm just going to leave it like that. So that was basically covering up a boo-boo because I had smeared it. So now I've got my little starting of my leaf. We know it's connected now to the rock. And now to see the brush here, I'm having a little harder time getting it, getting control. This is a liner brush, so it's a little harder to deal with, but it kind of allows for kind of nice, organic looking, more realistic if you're in a growing, in kind of an organic look, I guess the word I'm looking for. So these look like I guess the branches or the stems are thick enough now, and I think now I'm going to use my pen to do my glass pen because it's just such a neat way to do it. So here I'm going to dip it into the watercolor, and it holds a lot of ink. It's amazing. So I'm just going to make the branches, or the leaves, connect to the branches. And here, just like by taking that and just connecting it. And it's amazing. I'm really happy. Never done it this way. I usually do it from the growing, from the bottom going up. But actually, I'm thinking this is kind of a fun way because it kind of allows sort of a very freeing. It's different. It's a very letting go of control. That's the word I'm looking for. Not much control in this. So here I've got this little leaf that needs to be connected, and I've got these need to be connected here. So really, if you haven't discovered a glass pen for watercolor, get one. I mean, I can't believe how cheap they are. They're so cheap and they're so pretty. And they really work. So I've got my leaf, these are all connected now. And I'm going to take the same ink, why not? And I'm going to start making little veins here. That one's still wet. Oops. Here, just creating lines like that to connect the growth of the branches. And you can do that with your brush as well. And really, these pens don't have to be as dipped as much as I'm doing it, but I'm just gonna do it like that. Just kind of just draw. And that's so much fun to be able to draw with your watercolors. Because I stay away from inks because of they're just staining usually. I mean, there's pigmented inks, yes, but there's also, oops, I forgot to connect one right there. You can also vary the thickness of your line. Just, it's kind of like it's just a pen. It's like having a dip pen, but you're using your watercolor. Since you could tone it whatever color you want. I think that just is really fun. I'm just going to create these little lines. I'm having a lot more control or more. It's a little bit easier for me to make these lines with this pen than if I used my brush, for sure. So now I'm going to get some roots kind of growing a little bit, like some kind of root thing happening here. I don't know how they're growing, but I can also use my pen, this glass pen, to outline, to make, if I wanted to make outlines. With my watercolor, I could make more cracks on my rock. It could make little dots. It's amazing how that works, how this thing works. So the easiest way to clean it, of course, is just clear water, and you can wipe it with a tissue, and you can use this for your watercolors. So really, if everybody give yourself a gift because they're really neat. So here's the painting. Now we could add a background. We could add spatters, or I could take my brush and do some little bit of something on the leaves, kind of maybe to give them more dimension. So I think with this one, I'm going to add some, I don't want to, this time I'm staying away from blues and purples because I tend to always go to that. So I'm just going to do another layer of some green. I don't think I have any Cascade green, which I really love, but I'm going to just use some green apatite, which is a nice color as well. I'm just going to kind of make each of my leaves have one side will be a little bit darker. So I'm just going to glaze over. Just like that. So it's just a little darker, not too much. I mean, I could add a little what color would I want to add to make that darker? I'm just going to make it, so it's just a glaze over a dry area. That's what we'll call that, a glaze. And I add just a little blue to neutralize some of that. There we go. That's what I was looking for. And here I'll do it the same with this one, and maybe on the bottom half of these leaves, just that little dark glaze of color. And this one, you could make it purple, any color, whatever colors that you find are soothing, because that's what this is. It's a very soothing process, I think. I'm very happy with just the kind of the spontaneity of it. There's no planning. I had no idea when we got together what I was going to paint. I mean, I saw that picture in the book, but that's my only reference. So, and it was just a fun way to kind of give a testament to perseverance too, This past couple of years, we've all been tested, as yeah, we're all being tested, and really, we are strong, and we will persevere. That's how I see this is the symbol of that. Out of the hard things, good, beautiful things can grow from that. This is just, I'm loving this. I think I don't need to spatter, but if you want to add spatters, go for it. Add some texture and background. But I think this white, having the white sort of a very clean white background is really giving this kind of the attention it needs. Or the design is very delicate, but also doesn't need a lot more, I guess. So just having this little extra dimension of a glaze over the solid color really is going to give it a little bit, just a little extra layer of interest and contrast, which is just good for the design all around.